Hey, my friends, how's your heart today? Tonight we embark on a journey both ancient and weightless, like a whisper carried by incense through the dark hall of a forest temple. We begin in silence, not the kind that feels empty, but the kind that is full, like a still pond holding the reflection of the moon. This is the story of a man named Bahiya and how, in a single instant, he reached the end of all seeking. Imagine, if you will, the scent of old sandalwood clinging to the woven walls of a hermit's hut. Outside, crickets sing their unhurried lullabies. You're seated on a smooth stone, warmed by the lingering breath of the day, though the sun has long since vanished beyond the hills. A hush has fallen, not imposed, but natural, like a sigh released after too long holding the breath of the world. The air is still, and yet it listens. And in this listening, something opens. Of course, attaining enlightenment in a single moment. Well, let's just say you probably won't master that in one lifetime, or even in one episode of sleepy storytelling. But still, there's something here for you tonight. A flavor of freedom. A texture of truth that doesn't depend on effort. Just awareness, just being. Before we dive deeper into the story, take a moment to like and subscribe, only if this journey feels worth it to you. And if you feel comfortable, share your little corner of the world with us in the comments. What time is it for you? Where are you listening from? It's always comforting to know we're all sharing this quiet moment together, even from far away. Let the lights dim to a soft glow, and the quiet whir of a fan fill the silence. Settle into stillness, let the day fade, and now let's gently begin tonight's history. You walk alone down a narrow path, dusty and soft beneath your feet. The road curves through groves of whispering trees, their tall branches reaching out like arms in prayer. Each step is quiet, as though the earth itself is trying not to wake the sleeping birds overhead. Your breath is slow, and you notice it how it moves through your body like wind through an open window. Not forced, not held, so just there. This is the edge of a small village, humble and faded with time. Homes made of clay and thatch stand like sleeping animals in the night. No lanterns burn, no footsteps echo, and yet something stirs. You pause beside an old fig tree, its roots thick and gnarled like the fingers of a 1,000-year-old sage. And under that tree, sitting very still, is a figure clothed not in fine robes, not in the saffron of monks, but in bits of bark and fiber. His body is lean, sinewed like the bow of a hunter, but there's no tension, just stillness, like a candle that has burned long enough to become flame itself. He doesn't see you, or rather, he sees everything, yet nothing at all. He is listening, but not to you, not to birds, not to wind. He is listening to the sound that is not sound, the stillness that holds all motion. This is Bahiya. No one really knows how long he's been walking. Some say he crossed deserts with no sandals. Others say he floated across rivers on broken rafts, chasing a single question through lands of dust and snow. What matters is not how far he traveled, but that all his traveling led him here, to this tree, to this night. He had been revered once in distant lands, called wise, called awakened. People bowed to him. He taught them, though deep inside something gnawed, a quiet itch, a knowing he could not silence, that something was still missing. Have you ever felt that subtle hunger, even after you've eaten, that sense that you're missing something essential even when you've checked every box that was Bahiya's burden. A longing so refined it masqueraded as wisdom, but it was longing all the same. And then, like a bell struck in a dream, he heard of the Buddha, just heard his name, heard that there was one living awake, truly awake in this very world. And with that, Bahiya stood without hesitation and walked through day and night, through storm and heat, until his feet bled and his heart rang hollow, until he reached the gates of the Buddha's village, right here. And now you stand in the hush of that night. You watch Bahiya rise. There's no weariness in his body, though his limbs are thin as bamboo. He walks as though the earth parts for him, though no one sees him go. Tonight the moon is a sliver of silver, thin sharp, and perfectly quiet. Somewhere a child stirs in sleep, somewhere a dog sighs in its dreams, and yet here under this tree everything holds its breath. You follow from a respectful distance as Bahiya moves toward the village's central path, where the Buddha walks his morning round for alms. It is still night, but Bahiya will not wait for dawn, and neither will you. In the silence between steps, between heartbeats, between breaths, you feel it, that question, the one Bahiya has carried for lifetimes, echoing now in the hollow of your own chest. How do I awaken? Not tomorrow, not after 10,000 hours of meditation, not after memorizing all the suttas, but now, right now. The cool air brushes your skin, the faintest scent of rice from some far-off hearth, the crunch of bark beneath your feet. This night holds a teaching, not in words, not in books, but in the presence of one who is ready to stop seeking. And as the first faint blush of dawn begins to warm the eastern sky, you know this is the beginning of something soft and immense. Like the stillness between stars, like the breath before awakening, like the silence of Bahiya, you follow Bahiya into the slow light of morning. It's not a dramatic sunrise. There are no gold beams slicing the sky, no grand music swelling in your heart. Just the quiet lifting of darkness, as if a thin veil is being pulled back gently, slowly. The kind of morning that arrives like a soft exhale. You notice how everything around you starts to shift just a little. The trees still stand where they stood last night. The clay walls of the village are still silent, but their outlines are clearer now, painted in a subtle blue-gray. You can hear things you didn't hear before: the faint chirp of waking birds, the creak of a door hinged from a farmer's home, the wooden clatter of a child's toy dropped on stone. And ahead of you there is Bahiya. He moves with the same urgency as before, but not a frantic kind of urgency. It's more like the pull of the tide, unquestionable, steady, inevitable. There's no resistance in him, no hesitation, just movement in alignment with something deeper than desire. A river does not desire the ocean, it simply goes. His robe, if you could call it that, is not dyed, not tailored, not even whole. Bark fibers and grass fraying and faded drape over his frame like the forest's memory of clothing. His feet are bare, cracked, dusted with earth. He carries nothing, not even a bowl, and yet watching him, you do not see lack. You see completeness, like the moon needs no lantern, like silence needs no embellishment. You wonder, what does it take to reach this point? To strip down not just your belongings, but your roles, your stories, your defenses. to be just this, a body walking toward the truth. For most of us, there are so many layers. We think of ourselves as careers, or childhood wounds, or the sum total of who likes our photos. But Bahiya has peeled all of that away. Not because he's ascetic, but because he's ready. He's done with noise. He's hungry for what cannot be named. You feel it too, don't you? That quiet longing, that curiosity under the clutter, that yearning to rest in something true. As you walk, a warm breeze picks up, lifting the scent of rice and smoke from breakfast fires. It mingles with the coolness of dawn. The contrast is gentle, like warm tea in a cold hand. It makes you present, not lost in memory, not reaching forward, just here. Bahiya turns a corner. Ahead the Buddha walks. His pace is measured. His steps are unhurried, each one like a bell rung into the earth. He holds his alms bowl with both hands, not clutched, not offered, simply held. His eyes are lowered, but not closed. He sees the world without chasing it. You stop, so does Bahiya. There's a moment, a breath's length, no more, where the world itself seems to hold its breath. Like the trees lean in, like the birds fall silent. And then he speaks. Not the Buddha, Bahiya. His voice is calm but firm, not commanding, not desperate, just certain. Venerable Sir, he says, I am Bahiya of the bark cloth. Please teach me the Dhamma, teach me how I might awaken. The Buddha does not look up, not out of disregard, but out of rhythm. He is walking his alms round. He replies gently, now is not the time, Bahiya. I am on my alms round. You feel a soft pang in your chest. Rejection. No, not quite. It's something subtler. The moment hasn't ripened, but Bahiya is not deterred. His whole body bows, not just in posture, but in essence. He bows with everything he is. Venerable Sir, he says again, life is uncertain. We do not know when death will come. Please teach me now. I do not know how long I will live. You feel it then, how close to death Bahiya walks. Not in the dramatic sense, but in the wise sense. He knows impermanence not as an idea, but as a friend. He's not bargaining. He's simply being honest. Time is not promised, and truth waits for no ceremony. The Buddha stops. He turns, and then softly, so softly it feels like a hand brushing your forehead, as you fall asleep, he speaks. Bahiya, when in the scene there is only the seen, in the herd only the herd, in the sensed only the sensed, in the known only the known. He pauses. There is no performance, no build-up, just words given like water from a clear spring. Then Bahiya, there is no you in that. There is no you there. There is no you here. And when there is no you anywhere, then there is no suffering, no clinging, no becoming. That Bahiya is the end of suffering. The words land like petals falling on still water. You feel them not just in your ears, but in your breath, in your spine, in your chest. Not a puzzle to be solved, a doorway to be stepped through. Can it really be this simple? You try it right now. You look, and you let the looking be just that. No commentary, no me doing the looking, just seeing. You hear the breeze and let it pass through. You don't own it, you don't name it, you don't even hold it. Just hearing. the warmth of your blanket, the softness of your breath, the sense of this moment. Nothing added, nothing taken away. Is this what freedom feels like? A kind of peace that requires nothing but surrender. The birds begin to sing again. The village stirs. But inside you something has settled, like dust falling back to the earth. You think of Bahiya standing before the Buddha, receiving not a sermon but a key. A moment so brief, so quiet, yet large enough to contain the end of all suffering. And somewhere inside you, something bows in gratitude. You remain there for a while, still quiet, and listening not only to the fading sounds of morning, but to something deeper, a kind of hum beneath experience itself, as if all the things you usually think of as you, your thoughts, your plans, your little judgments have paused, politely stepped back, and now there is simply awareness. There's no rush to return to those thoughts. They'll still be there later. For now, you rest in the wide open space that Bahiya has stepped into. And somehow, simply by watching, simply by listening to this old story, you're stepping into it too. Imagine the feeling of a still lake at dawn. The fog is just beginning to lift, curling in tendrils across the water's surface. Each ripple is a thought slowly disappearing. And then not even ripples remain, just the water reflecting the sky with effortless clarity. That's what it feels like now. Bahiya stands in complete silence. There are no more words, no follow-up question, no attempt to understand the Buddha's teaching intellectually. Because the truth, the real truth, doesn't need to be explained. It doesn't need elaboration. It just needs to be seen. And Bahiya sees, right there in the dusty village road, with morning barely risen and dew still clinging to the grass, his mind lets go. Not because he tried, not because he figured it out, but because something in him became utterly still, still enough to dissolve. In the scene, only the scene. In the herd, only the herd. No one behind the seeing, no one behind the hearing. You pause here in the story because this is not just a historical moment, it's a mirror held up to your own awareness. You're invited gently to look not outward at Bahiya, but inward into that same space he saw. Take a breath. Feel the air as it moves through you, not as something you do, but something that simply happens. In the felt, only the felt. No doer, no owner. Just this simple act of being breathed. Feel the quiet beneath your thoughts, the space before your next idea arises. There's nothing you need to prepare for. You don't have to hold anything together. Let it all fall into the simplicity of presence. That's what Bahiya did, and in that he awakened. There is something both astonishing and profoundly ordinary about that. No fireworks, no angels, just a human being letting go of the illusion of self, like someone unclenching a fist they hadn't realized was tight. And then he walks. There is no ceremony, no declaration, no fanfare. He walks a few steps away with the same worn bare feet, the same patchwork robe fluttering slightly in the breeze. But he is no longer the same. You wonder what it must feel like to walk without burden, not just physical burden, but the psychic weight we all carry of who we think we are, of what we believe we need to fix, or prove, or become. Can you imagine that? Walking through the world without constantly managing your identities. You watch Bahiya disappear down the road. He doesn't need to practice anymore. He's not striving, he's not meditating, he's simply free, completely and utterly at peace. But peace, as it turns out, is fragile in the physical world. A moment later, a cow, startled, rushing through the village, runs straight into Bahiya. His body falls. It's over, just like that. But don't let your heart tense. This is not a tragedy. It is strangely a kind of perfection. Bahiya's story ends precisely where it is meant to. He lived seeking truth, and when he found it, he let go even of life itself, not clinging, not resisting, just flowing into the next silence. The Buddha, upon hearing of Bahiya's sudden passing, instructs his monks to honor him. He says with deep serenity that Bahiya was one of the most swift and clear-seeing of all who have ever come to the path, that in the briefest teaching he saw fully, that no more words were needed. You reflect on that. So often we think awakening must take decades, countless retreats, endless books, and yes, the path can be long, but the truth itself, it is always immediate. It is always here, right now. You don't have to go anywhere for it. In the scene, only the scene. Try it again, gently. Don't strain, just notice the soft weight of your body, the faint background sound in the room, a sensation of warmth or coolness on your skin. Let it all be what it is, without a you wrapping around it. No filter, no claim. There, that stillness, that simple presence. Even if it lasts only a moment, you've touched the space Bahiya lived in. And that space, timeless Ila's silent awake, has never left you. It's always been waiting, just beneath the noise of your name, your schedule, your effort. You lie back, perhaps a little more surrendered now, a little less entangled in the day's dust. You imagine your own mind as a bowl of water slowly clearing, the sediment of thought sinking, the surface smoothing. There is nothing left to fix, just this breath, just this listening, just this being. You are not becoming anything. You are not chasing insight. You are simply here. The road is quiet now. The breeze drifts lazily across the early morning, carrying with it a faint trace of wood smoke and wild jasmine. Somewhere in the distance, a rooster calls once and then falls silent, as though even it respects the stillness that has settled over this moment. You are still sitting beneath the fig tree, as if your body has become part of the roots, merging with the earth that bore witness to Bahiya's awakening. The teaching is still echoing in your mind, not loud, not demanding, but like a bell that continues to ring long after it has been struck. In the scene, only the scene. You let the words drift through you again, not analyzing, not dissecting, just allowing them to settle like dust floating down in an abandoned hall. There is nothing to figure out here, no secret code to unlock. The key has already been turned. The door is open. All that remains is your willingness to step through or simply to sit quietly at the threshold and breathe. And so you breathe. Each inhale is like a wave arriving on a shore that has waited 1,000 years. Each exhale is the tide retreating, leaving only smooth sand and forgotten footprints. You close your eyes not to escape, but to feel more clearly. Behind closed lids, the world simplifies. You are no longer distracted by forms or shapes or movement, just sensation, just being. In the scene, only the scene. But now, with your eyes closed, you are gently drawn inward toward hearing, the whisper of the wind outside, the soft whir of a fan in your room, the rhythm of your breath, maybe even the steady, reliable beat of your heart. And here too the Buddha's teaching applies. In the herd, only the herd. There is no one behind the hearing, no one owning the sound, no narrative wrapping around it, just the pure intimacy of experience untouched by self. Can you feel how close that is to peace? The peace that doesn't come from solving anything. The peace that arrives when you stop trying to be someone and instead allow yourself to dissolve into the moment. It's strange, isn't it? How we spend so much energy shaping an identity, reinforcing our story, only to discover eventually that it is precisely this clinging that causes us to suffer, and that letting go of the story, even for a second, opens a stillness so vast, so full it contains all the freedom we've been chasing. Bahiya didn't awaken through effort. He didn't achieve enlightenment by adding more to himself. He awakened by subtraction, by recognizing that in every experience, what makes it heavy is the idea of me having it. The lightness of his realization came not from learning something new, but from unlearning the habit of self. In the known, only the known, not I know this, not this is my understanding, just knowing pure, direct, unfiltered. Let that wash through your mind now. Let it soften the mental grip you might be holding onto a thought that wants to be understood, a feeling that begs to be fixed. Let it float, let it be known, and let it pass, like clouds across a sky that never once asked to be clear. As your breath deepens, your body begins to rest even more fully. The small muscles of your face soften. The tension in your shoulders loosens its hold. Even your fingers uncurl, gently opening like petals in moonlight. And in this resting, you begin to see something subtle. That awareness is already here. You don't have to create it. You don't have to reach for it. It is like space, never absent, only unnoticed. You remember the way Bahiya bowed, not in desperation, but in surrender. The kind of surrender that comes when you've tried everything and finally realize the effort was the barrier. He bowed not just to the Buddha, but to truth itself, to the immediacy of reality, to the end of seeking. And maybe now, here in your own quiet space, you too are ready to bow, not physically, though you may feel the impulse to, but inwardly. Bowing to the stillness that has always been here, the stillness that doesn't need you to be anyone special, that accepts you as you are because it knows you are already whole. No fixing, no improving, just presence. The scent of sleep is beginning to rise in you, soft and slow, like steam rising from a teacup. Thoughts still arrive, but they land with less urgency now, like feathers drifting down in the dark. Nothing feels sharp, nothing pulls. You are resting in the center of experience, not grasping, not pushing, just abiding. And in this silence, a truth begins to form, not in words, but in feeling. That you do not need to be other than you are to find peace. That the self you've worked so hard to maintain is like a dream, a useful tool, but not your true home. And that when you let go of the dream, even for a breath, what's left is vast and quiet and kind. This is what Bahiya touched. This is what the Buddha offered, not a method, but a mirror. You don't need to climb a mountain to find this. You're already at the summit. Just open your eyes metaphorically, or even literally, and see. In the seen, only the seen. In the heard, only the heard. In the known, only the known. That is enough. That is more than enough. That is freedom. You remain here nestled in the hush of these teachings, not as a student trying to absorb knowledge, but as a quiet witness to your own unfolding. There's no hurry. The story breathes through you, not as something foreign, but as something so familiar, it feels as though you've always known it, like a melody returning after years of silence. And now, your awareness begins to rest upon one of the simplest yet most radical ideas the Buddha shared with Bahiya seeing without you. Just those few words, gentle, unadorned, can shift the entire foundation of how you experience the world. You've been taught your whole life that you are the one seeing, you are the one thinking, choosing, feeling. But what if you're not the one behind the eyes pulling strings and steering the wheel? What if the act of seeing doesn't require a seer at all? It sounds impossible until it doesn't. Try this. Let your gaze soften whether your eyes are open or closed. Let go of the idea that you are doing anything. Let the seeing happen on its own, like light pouring into a room. Do you notice that it still happens even without the thought, I am seeing? What remains is just seeing, pure, uncomplicated, effortless, like the eye itself, which does not judge the color. It perceives, it simply receives. You begin to realize that what complicates perception is the idea that it belongs to someone, that it means something about who you are. But when you drop that extra layer, when you allow sight, sound, sensation, and thought to just be, there's a profound clarity, a stillness as soft and vast as winter snow. In the same way that moonlight doesn't try to shine it, just as you can let experience unfold without clinging to a self behind it. This is what Bahiya understood in that instant. There wasn't a process, no spiritual resume, no checklist of meditative achievements, just a direct shift from I am aware to there is awareness. You don't have to force this shift. You just need to notice. You don't need to stop thoughts. You don't need to be perfectly present. You just need to step out of the way and let what's already happening be enough. Right now, sound is arriving. Sensation is arriving. Thoughts are floating by like blossoms on a stream, and none of it needs to be yours. Let go of ownership, and something exquisite appears space. Not blankness, not nothingness, but an open, spacious quality of being where everything is allowed and nothing clings. It's like stepping into a garden after a storm. The air is heavy with moisture and fragrance. Every leaf glistens. The earth is soft beneath your feet, and there's a kind of freshness, not because anything was added, but because the noise has passed. And now all you have to do is walk quietly. You walk now in your imagination through this lush and dripping garden. Each step is gentle. You're barefoot. The soil gives slightly under your heels. There's no need to rush. The scent of wet blossoms is thick in the air, jasmine, magnolia, and something earthy and sweet, like crushed fig leaves. Birds begin to sing again, slowly, cautiously, as if testing the edges of the silence. Above, the clouds have parted just enough to let slivers of light fall in long golden shafts between the trees. You step into one, and for a moment, you vanish into radiance. There's no ego in that moment, no striving, just warmth. And as you stand there in the middle of a dreaming garden, something shifts in you, not as a thought, but as a letting go. You remember the line, there is no you in that. There is no you here. There is no you there. At first, those words may sound like erasure, like loss, but stay with it. Let them unfold gently like petals of a lotus opening to morning light. To say there is no you in the scene is not to deny your existence. It's to point out that there is no fixed, separate self behind it all, no one clenching behind your eyes, trying to hold it all together. And when you release that idea, what remains is ease, a spacious ease, a kindness toward yourself that is not manufactured but natural, because there's nothing left to defend. You are not your tension. You are not your commentary. You are not your endless projects of self-improvement. You are in the most quiet and wondrous way, awareness itself. The birds continue singing. The breeze returns, lifting the edge of your robe or your blanket or your breath, whatever you're wrapped in tonight. It carries the scent of sandalwood and old earth. It reminds you of that early fig tree, of Bahiya, of the road, of the moment that changed nothing, yet somehow changed everything. And here you are, not chasing awakening, not proving anything, just being, just noticing, just resting in the effortless fact that the eye sees the ear, hears the heart beats, and none of it needs to be possessed. Isn't that the greatest relief? To let things happen without calling them mine. To let go of your role as the doer, the knower, the fixer. You are not behind the wheel of this moment. You are the open sky through which everything flows. Like Bahiya, you have arrived not by walking far, but by stopping, by seeing what's already here, by realizing that the moment has always been enough. There's a quiet stillness within you now, like a deep lake undisturbed by wind. The ripples of the day have softened, thoughts have slowed their spin, and even your breath, so often unnoticed, has become a gentle tide, rocking you toward sleep. But before you drift fully, something tender arises, the image of an arrow, not sharp, not cruel, but subtle, slender, almost invisible. Yet it has been there, perhaps in you too, for a long time. It's the arrow of becoming, the quiet urge to be something, to be someone, to get somewhere. And now, in this spacious presence, you begin to sense what the Buddha meant when he compared our clinging to this arrow. In one of his discourses, he said, "We're like a person struck by an arrow who, before removing it, demands to know who shot it, what kind of wood it's made of, whether the feathers came from a crow or a peacock. All while the wound festers." You reflect on that. How often have you lived like that, lost in questions, explanations, self-definitions, when all along the real medicine was silence, letting go? The wound, it turns out, is not just pain, it's the story about the pain. And here in the quiet, you can feel the story loosening. You're no longer trying to explain yourself. You're no longer trying to become anything. And in that, something rare is happening. The arrow is slipping out, not with force, not with effort, but with the gentle hands of awareness. You don't even have to do anything. Just stay open. Just notice. Just allow. You might feel it in your body, a lightness in your chest, a warm spaciousness in your belly, the way your shoulders seem to melt downward without you asking them to. These are signs of release, of trust, of coming home. Remember Bahiya. His whole life was a sprint toward answers. He was revered, admired, called enlightened by others, and yet still he knew something was incomplete. Some silent weight had not yet lifted. So he walked, not away from the world, but toward truth. And truth did not demand years of study. It did not ask for rituals or philosophies. It came in a few simple words and in his ability to stop, to truly stop. Not just his feet, but his inner commentary. That is what you are practicing now. Not stopping as resistance, not stopping as giving up, stopping as arriving. Imagine, if you will, a sand mandala, meticulously created by monks over many days, grain by colored grain, an image of the cosmos itself, formed with delicate hands and unshakable patience, and then at the end, swept away with a single gesture, not as destruction, but as teaching. You're like that mandala now. All the stories, the striving, the goals, they were beautiful, intricate, necessary in their time. But tonight they are being swept away, not in anger, not in loss, but in peace, because what remains underneath is even more beautiful, the open ground of presence. That's where the Buddha pointed Bahiya, and that's where Bahiya pointed all of us. When in the scene there is only the scene, it's not a command, it's a mirror. It reflects the simplicity of what is already true. No need to name the color, no need to judge the sound, no need to wrap experience in layers of narrative and self-reference. You sit now in your own sacred mandala of quietness, nothing to finish, nothing to prove. In this space, awareness is like the flame of a butter lamp, flickering, gently held by no one, yet illuminating everything. You let that image settle deep inside, a small, steady flame at the center of your being. You don't need to protect it. You don't need to grow it. It is already enough. Now imagine yourself walking slowly barefoot, calmly along a path lined with smooth stones. Each step is soft, the earth is cool, the sky above you is neither day nor night, just a pale gradient of timeless light. There's no destination. You're not trying to arrive. You're not searching for anything. You're just walking, not as a person with a name or story, but as presence itself. You can hear the sound of a river in the distance. It doesn't call to you. It doesn't need to. Its music simply enters your ears like a lullaby you've always known. A song without words, a teaching without language. And you remember even the river flows without a self. No river says, I am flowing. It just moves. It just becomes, just like you. You sit again now, back in your quiet space, maybe in bed, maybe on a cushion, maybe simply in your imagination, and you feel something different, not new, not added, but uncovered, like a lotus blooming from beneath the water, its roots in the mud, its petals in the sky. The teaching lives in you now, not as a concept, but as a quiet shift, a loosening of the grip, a softening of the edges, a clarity that needs no effort to maintain. Take one more breath, slow, full, easy. Feel the air arrive. Stay, leave, nothing to hold, nothing to resist. Everything just is. And you are the space in which it all happens. You are not the one watching the stars. You are the sky that lets the stars appear. You rest more deeply now, not as a task, not as something to achieve, but as something your being knows how to do on its own, like a leaf settling onto still water, like a cat curling into warmth at the foot of a lantern. Your breath is slower. Your thoughts, if they still drift through, arrive like clouds at sunset, soft-edged, tinged with gold, dissolving even as they form. You don't chase them. You don't resist them. You let them come and go like wind through an open window. And into this soft space, a new image arises Bahiya's final breath, not with sadness, not with fear, but with completion. He had no regrets, no unfinished questions, no spiritual debt still to be paid. He had seen clearly, and having seen, he no longer clung. When death came, as it always does, he did not tighten, did not reach, did not resist. He simply let go. You may find that startling. How could someone awaken in a single moment and then die shortly after, as though the universe itself were exhaling? But perhaps that's part of the beauty. Bahiya's story isn't about a long life of achievement. It's about immediacy, about how the deepest truth can arrive fully in the span of a breath. Because truth doesn't require time, only openness. So here in the quiet of your own breath, you begin to contemplate impermanence, not as an abstract idea, but as a lived experience. Each inhale arises, each exhale fades. The sensations in your body shift from moment to moment, warmth, tingling, stillness. Thoughts come and they vanish. Sounds float into your ears, then disappear. You are surrounded by change. You are change. And yet there is something constant, isn't there? Not a thing, not a thought, just a presence, an awareness, like the ocean beneath the waves, the sky beneath the storm, that which knows impermanence but is not swept away by it. This is where Bahiya's story points you not to the drama of his life, but to the stillness in his death, the spaciousness of a life lived without residue, a life fully met and fully released. You imagine now the road he last walked. It's just a narrow village path, really. Dusty, worn smooth by countless feet. A cow wandered through, startled perhaps by a shadow or the quick dart of a squirrel. Its large body collided with Bahiya's. He fell. His final exhale left his body like a whisper carried by wind. And that was it. No drama, no fear, only stillness. And yet what lingers is not sorrow, but peace. Because what had to be seen had been seen. No more questions, no more becoming, no more me to carry. Imagine that. Imagine the lightness of no longer needing to define yourself, no longer needing to fix yourself, no longer needing to ask what's next. You rest now as if that possibility were already true, and maybe it is, because awakening isn't far away. It isn't on a mountaintop. It isn't hidden in Sanskrit syllables or buried beneath lifetimes of karma. It is right here. In the next moment, you stop trying to be anything other than what already is. That's what the Buddha taught. Not a complicated religion, but a simple direct pointing. A way to wake up inside your life exactly as it is. So you continue lying here breathing, sensing, simply being. And in this being, you begin to understand something gentle. That death too can be peaceful. That the end of clinging is not loss, it is love. Not love as craving, not love as needing, but love as presence, as openness, as the quiet acceptance of things, just as they are. Even now, you may feel something soft blooming in you, a kind of compassion, a kindness without agenda. It might not have words. It might not even have a direction. It's just here, like warmth in the chest, like the way light filters through leaves. You think of Bahiya again, not as a saint, not as a symbol, but as a mirror, a fellow traveler, a human being who searched, who struggled, and who by grace or karma or readiness was able to stop. And that stopping was everything. You begin to realize that awakening isn't a dramatic event. It's not even really a moment. It's a shift from doing to being, from seeking to seeing, from clinging to letting go. And maybe you're not far from it. In fact, maybe you're already there. You don't have to name it. You don't have to grasp it. Just let this moment be what it is. Let your breath be what it is. Let your mind wander if it must, and let it return naturally, like a bird to its nest. Even the Buddha, upon hearing of Bahiya's death, did not weep. He simply said to the monks, "Take care of his remains." He was one of the quick ones, quick not in speed, but in clarity, in readiness, in surrender. And so tonight, perhaps you too become one of the quiet ones, not racing, not proving, but simply resting. Deeply, gently, you imagine now a robe hanging on a branch, not in mourning, not in haste, just a simple bark cloth robe swaying in the wind, empty, light, freed from all burdens. That robe is not a symbol of death. It is a symbol of release. And that is what you offer yourself now, not to abandon life, but to release your grip on who you think you must be within it. To rest in this gentle truth. You are already enough. You are already home. You are already whole. No need to wait for later. No need to understand it all. Just breathe. And let the seen be the seen. Let the known be the known. Let the silence hold you as it held Bahiya in the final sweetness of a life, completed not by years, but by seeing. The wind is gentler now. Even in your imagination, it's as if the very air around you has softened like silk pulled across skin, like the breath of an old friend, leaning in to say you can rest now. You sit quietly, or perhaps you're already lying down, your body melting into the earth, or your mattress barely distinguishable from the stillness around it. And in this quiet, another moment from the story rises a moment not always told, but deeply meaningful. The Buddha standing beside Bahiya's body. There is no fear in his gaze, no sadness either, not the kind we often think of when death visits. His eyes, as the monks would later remember, were full of clarity. Compassion, yes, but not the kind that mourns, the kind that sees clearly, that holds impermanence not as a tragedy, but as a doorway. And that doorway opens now, for you not into death, but into presence. It opens not away from the world, but directly into it, into this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. You hear the Buddha's voice, soft and certain, telling the monks this Bahiya of the bark cloth, in so short a time, has entered the deathless, not through effort, not through scholarly achievement, but through stillness. You imagine the scene: Bahiya's body lying peacefully beneath the morning sun, his rough robes now just fabric, the breeze lifting the ends like a farewell gesture. The villagers standing quietly, heads bowed, not entirely sure what had happened, only that something sacred had unfolded right before their eyes. And in the silence, the Buddha turns to a tree. He points to it not as a metaphor, not as an example, but as a simple, direct teaching. Whoever sees the Dhamma, he says, sees me. And just like that, the story moves on. Not rushed, not forgotten, just complete. You breathe that in. The way a tree becomes a teacher, the way stillness becomes scripture, the way the body of a man now returned to earth becomes a pointer to something deathless. Not a soul, not a self, but awareness itself, unborn, undying, and always here. The Buddha didn't speak of souls. He didn't promise eternal identities. He simply taught the way to freedom, the end of clinging, the release of grasping, the peace of knowing there is no you apart from what arises and passes. And in that, you begin to feel something very subtle bloom within you, a deeper trust, not in beliefs, not in dogma, but in the immediacy of your own experience. You turn inward again gently, like turning your palm toward the sun, and you notice what's here now. The weight of your body, the lightness of your breath, the faint whisper of sound in the distance, all of it dancing through awareness like fireflies across a moonlit field. And again you remember, in the seen only the seen, in the heard only the heard, in the sensed only the sensed, in the known only the known, no self behind it, no owner of the moment, just the moment itself. It's a little like watching waves roll in on a beach at night. You don't try to hold them. You don't try to stop them. You just sit and listen and let them come and let them go. That's what awareness does. It allows. It does not interfere. It does not claim. It does not judge. And you resting now, breathing now, are not separate from that awareness. You are that awareness. You are the stillness watching, the silence listening, the spaciousness that holds it all. And when you remember that even for a moment, the tightness inside begins to loosen, the need to control, to name, to narrate it, fades like the last echo of a bell. You are no longer trying to be the person in the story. You are the space in which the story unfolds. And what a relief that is, to not be the doer, to not be the thinker, to not be the one who must figure it all out, but simply the witness. As you lie here now, maybe your body feels heavier. Maybe your limbs are softening, your breath slowing further. Maybe the thoughts have faded into background murmur, like distant waves barely noticeable now. You rest not just as a person tired from the day. You rest as awareness itself, finally remembering it does not need to effort its way through life. There is nothing left to do tonight. You are not missing anything. You are not falling behind. You are arriving over and over again into the only place that has ever been real. Now, Bahiya's story is not just a tale from long ago. It's a mirror held gently before your own heart, and in that stopping he saw, you too are capable of seeing, not in some future moment, not after spiritual perfection, but right here, right now, as you are. All it takes is the willingness to rest, to stop turning the wheel, to let the silence speak. Let this be your practice now, not a doing, not a striving, just a returning. Like waves to the shore, like birds to the tree, like breath to the body, over and over again, until there is no separation left, only this, stillness, seeing, freedom. The stillness you rest in now is not empty. It is full of life, full of quiet understanding, full of the kind of richness that doesn't need to be spoken aloud. It's the fullness of a bowl that holds only space, yet offers endless nourishment. And within this fullness, the next whisper of the teaching arrives. Not this, not that. In Sanskrit and Pali, the phrase is neti neti, an ancient instruction for release. It's not a rejection, not a denial. It's a gentle peeling away of what you are not, until what remains is simply truth. Imagine sitting beside a small clear stream in the early morning. Mist still clings to the surface, and leaves float slowly by their veins, like tiny roads branching into the unknown. You reach your hand into the water, and even as you touch it, it changes. The stream flows on. The leaf drifts past. Nothing stays. And so you whisper, not this, Not the stream, not the hand, not the thought that tried to hold it. Then another image arises, your name, a sound you've carried since birth, spoken with love, with anger, with indifference, a sound that has defined you. And yet tonight, in this space, you see it too as a leaf drifting by. Not this, then come the roles, the achiever, the helper, the child, the adult, each a costume, each meaningful, and yet tonight you see the space underneath them. Not that. And so the peeling begins, not as a harsh stripping away, but as a kind return, like the sea foam retreating from the shore, revealing the smooth, glistening sand beneath. Not this, not that, until you arrive at what can no longer be spoken, what can't be named, what simply is. Bahiya saw this too. He saw through every layer of identity, not with resistance, but with surrender. And what remained was clarity, freedom. Have you ever stood in a forest just after rain? The way the leaves shine with droplets, the soil breathes steam, the moss glows with green. Everything is so present, so awake, and yet so free of self. No tree says, "Look at me." No stone tries to be more stone-like. They simply are. That's what Bahiya touched. The awakened eye does not cling. It does not own what it sees. It sees and lets go. And in that letting go, it sees even more clearly. You may begin to notice this happening within you now. Not dramatically, not suddenly, just softly like fog lifting. You hear a sound, perhaps distant traffic, perhaps a bird. It's not your sound. It doesn't need to be filtered or evaluated. It's just there, heard. You feel a sensation, coolness on your skin, the warmth of your body under the blanket. It arises and you don't reach for it. It too is simply known and then gone. Even the thoughts drifting through your mind. Am I doing this right? Is this really awakening? They are recognized and released. Not this, not that. You're no longer wrapping each moment in ownership, no longer trapping experience inside the cage of mind. And with that shift, the mind relaxes. It doesn't need to protect a narrative anymore. It doesn't need to fix anything. It can just rest, like a flute placed gently on the floor after a long song. You may be wondering, but then what am I? If I am not the seen, not the heard, not the thinker, not the feeler, who am I? But listen closely, dear, when that question comes from the same habit of clinging, the same instinct to grasp, to define, to label. And so the answer is a smile and the whisper, you are not a thing, you are not an object, you are not a fixed being, you are not this, not that. You are the space in which this and that arise and pass. Not distant, not detached, but deeply intimate, fully alive. This is not cold detachment. This is warm freedom, the kind of freedom that can weep with compassion, the kind of freedom that can hold pain without panic, the kind of freedom that does not need to be someone to love. It simply loves, without ownership, without effort, like the moon reflecting in a still pond. No striving, no reaching, just the perfect quiet of what is. You return again now to your breath, not because it is special, not because it will lead you anywhere, but because it's here, because it rises and falls with such grace, because it reminds you that life itself is always moving, always changing, always offering itself freely, if only we stop trying to capture it. Not this, not that. Even the breath is not you. It arises, it fades, It is known, and so you return, not to some final conclusion, but to mystery, to stillness, to silence that hums with presence, the kind of silence Bahiya became. He didn't argue with reality. He didn't ask for more teachings. He didn't ask the Buddha, but what next? He simply saw, and then the story of Bahiya was complete, not ended, not cut short, but completed. And in that, you begin to feel a quiet gratitude, not just for him, but for this moment, for your willingness to be here, to let go, to be no one for a while, and in being no one to finally feel at home. The leaves keep falling, the stream keeps flowing, the wind keeps moving through the trees, and none of them ask who they are. They simply are, and so are you. You rest now as if floating untethered, unhurried, unburdened by definition. The edges of your identity have grown soft like mist rolling through the early light of dawn. There's no need to name yourself here, no need to recall your timeline or defend your personality. You are simply this awake, alive present. And now you begin to reflect on a question so subtle it often slips past unnoticed. What is perception when there is no one doing the perceiving? This is not philosophy, not a riddle meant to puzzle. It's an invitation. You listen again to the Buddha's teaching to Bahiya. It didn't offer more concepts. It pointed to direct experience. In the seen, there is only the seen. In the heard, so only the heard. In the sensed, only the sensed. In the known, only the known. Simple, direct, disarming. And what happens when you truly let this in? You begin to perceive in a way that is weightless. Right now, try it. Gently. Let your attention rest on what is before you or within you. Maybe it's the faint hum of a fan, or the subtle rhythm of your breath. Maybe it's the feeling of warmth under your blanket, the soft sound of night just outside your window. Just allow it to be what it is. And now don't say I hear the fan, just heard. Don't say I feel the blanket, just sensed. Not my sound, not my sensation, no clinging fingers wrapping around experience. Just experience itself, unfolding naturally, effortlessly. It's like watching a flower bloom without needing to pick it, like rain falling on the roof without needing to explain where it came from. Perception without a perceiver. The eye sees color. The ear receives vibration. The skin feels temperature. The mind knows thought. And none of it needs to be claimed. It just happens, naturally, beautifully. And the more you let this be, so the more space opens inside you. Space that is not blank, but luminous, alive. Spacious awareness is not a vacuum. It is the sky that welcomes clouds without resistance. It is the pond that holds the reflection of the moon without needing to change it. It is the heart that can feel every feeling without fear of being undone by any of them. And you are that space. When you no longer insist on being the perceiver, you become the openness through which perception flows. This is not disconnection. It is deep, intimate belonging. The kind of belonging that doesn't depend on a role. The kind that is not earned but realized. You are not observing the world from outside. You are the world observing itself. And suddenly perception becomes a kind of prayer. The rustle of leaves prayer. The flicker of candlelight prayer. The sigh that escapes your lips prayer. Not as something you offer, but as something that is. Existence, when unclung to, is sacred. Not in a religious way. In a real way. Raw. Honest. immediate. You think again of Bahiya. He did not become sacred because he achieved something. He became sacred because he let go of ownership. He stopped being the seer, and in doing so, he saw clearly. This is the paradox at the heart of awakening. When you try to grasp presence, it slips through your fingers. When you relax your grip, it surrounds you completely. That's the shift Bahiya made, not with effort, not with intellect, but with surrender. And you are making that same shift now, not perfectly, not permanently, but moment by moment, breath by breath. You can feel it in the quiet behind your thoughts, in the soft echo of each passing sound, in the gentle presence behind your eyes, witnessing it all without grasping. Perception is no longer a means of control. It is an opening, a dance, a shared breath with the entire cosmos. And within this dance, you begin to notice something even deeper. That perception is kind. It does not judge what it sees. It does not hold on to pain. It simply allows. A sound comes, a thought, a feeling, and then it goes. No need to fix, no need to push away, no need to keep. You are no longer carrying a backpack of impressions. You're letting them pass through like wind through tall grass. And in that letting go, what arises? Peace. Not a dramatic peace, not a euphoric peace, but a quiet, steady, grounded kind of peace. Like a mountain that doesn't need to move. Like a lantern that glows even when no one is watching. This is the peace of perception without a self. It may sound abstract, but right now it's tangible. You feel it in your breath. You feel it in the absence of resistance. You feel it in how nothing needs to be different than it is. And that feeling, that is freedom. That is what Bahiya realized in the moment between the Buddha's words and his final breath. That the world doesn't need a self behind the eyes to be seen. That the universe does not require a narrator. That the miracle is already happening, right now, right here. In the seen, only the seen. In the heard, only the heard. And in this sacred simplicity, you begin to rest even more deeply. Not because you've figured it out, but because you've stopped needing to. You've stopped becoming and started being. Now you rest as presence, not as a person monitoring their experience, but as the experience itself. There's no distance between you and the moment, no filter, no self-inquiry, just this breath, this stillness, this quiet unfolding of awareness. And from this stillness, something subtle arises, the silence before names, before fan, before breath, before blanket or body, there is just sensation. Before joy or sadness, there is just feeling. Before you call anything mine, there is only the raw, immediate presence of life, untouched by language, uncoded by thought. You begin to feel this space inside you now, wordless, clear, peaceful. It's like being in a garden before the world was named. No rose is called rose. No wind is called wind. You just smell, you just feel. The perfume of the flower drifts into your nostrils and dissolves into your body, and there is no you to claim it, no label to interrupt the purity of the moment. There is only what is. That's what Bahiya saw. That's what the Buddha pointed to. The silence that exists before we divide the world into this and that. It's not a silence of sound, it's a silence of self. And in this silence, perception becomes sacred again. Like a child hearing music for the first time, or the moment a mother first touches her newborn's skin, no words are needed. No concepts can hold the truth of that experience. It just is. Try to rest in that space now. Let go of naming. Let go of describing. If a thought arises, don't name it. If a feeling arises, don't classify it. Just allow. Notice the soft breeze of awareness itself moving across your inner world. Like incense smoke curling through still air, it has no beginning or end. It simply moves, and you no longer the narrator feel the beauty of what remains when nothing is said. And in this silence, you may notice something unexpected. Not emptiness, not boredom, but warmth, a soft glow of peace, as if the heart has unclenched, as if, for the first time in a long time, it no longer has to pretend. You are not the thoughts, you are not the emotions, you are not the roles you wear in the waking world. You are the awareness that holds it all, like the sky holding clouds or the ocean welcoming every wave, and none of it needs a name. In this space, love does not need a story. Compassion does not need a reason. Presence does not need permission. It simply is. And you resting here are not practicing to get somewhere. You're not working toward insight. You're not striving for peace. You are peace. The moment you stop grasping for it, it reveals itself. It's a bit like the sky at night. If you try too hard to see the stars, you miss them. But when you relax, soften your gaze, and simply look without effort, they appear, sparkling, effortless, already there. This is the natural way of awareness, not forced, not taught, just uncovered. You remember the Buddha's words to Bahiya again, not as scripture now, but as personal guidance. In the known, only the known. That includes your thoughts. Even now, if you notice yourself thinking, see if you can let the thought be just a known object, no different than the sound of a breeze or the tick of a clock. Don't follow it. Don't own it. Just see it. Know it. Let it go. No name, no narrative. Just knowing. And let that be enough, because it is enough. It always has been. You might recall times in your life when this space appeared suddenly, watching a sunset, hearing a song that made you cry, standing in a forest where even your worries felt too loud to keep speaking. Those moments of pure, unfiltered presence, they were glimpses of this same silence. The difference now is that you're learning how to rest in it, not just as a fleeting experience, but as a way of being, a way of living and seeing, a way of knowing without naming, being without becoming. This is not withdrawal from life. It is intimacy with it. Bahiya didn't transcend the world, he saw it clearly as it was, and in that clarity, the self vanished like mist in sunlight. And what was left? Only peace, only freedom, only the shimmering now. You let that shimmer reach you now, not through effort, but through gentleness. Your breath continues steady and smooth. The body releases a little more tension. Even the space behind your eyes softens. You might even feel a subtle smile, one that arises not from amusement, but from relief. Relief that there is nothing more to hold up, nothing more to protect. Just this moment, this aliveness, this soft, wordless awareness that needs no story to be whole. And in the silence before names, you hear what language can never say. You are already home. Somewhere far off in your imagination, a temple bell chimes just once, just gently. It doesn't mark the passing of time. It doesn't signal anything to be done. It simply rings and fades. The echo melts into silence like honey into warm tea. And in that fading sound, something within you loosens. Because tonight you are exploring the kind of truth that doesn't require belief or effort. It asks only for your presence. The Buddha's teaching to Bahiya was not about theories, not about far off futures, it was about now. And Bahiya heard it fully. So fully, in fact, that something dissolved in him, something subtle and ancient, the sense of being a self, separate from the world. And with that dissolving came freedom. That's the paradox at the heart of this moment, isn't it? You do not need to become someone else to find peace. You need only stop clinging to the idea that you're anyone at all. This doesn't mean you disappear or that your life no longer matters. Quite the opposite. It means that the one who suffers, the one who resists, who grasps, who fights with what is, that one softens. And in that softening, the whole world opens. No one comes, no one goes. The Buddha said that to describe the awakened mind. It sounds strange, even mystical, until you rest here long enough to feel what he meant. Right now, where is the self that came into this moment? And when this moment ends, where will it go? The body is still here. The breath continues. Thoughts arise and pass. But the self, that sense of being a solid me, at the center of it all, where is it? Can you find it? And if not, what does that mean? It means you're beginning to see clearly. It means the mind is resting in the same view Bahiya found a view where things arise and cease, but nothing is carried, where the movie plays but no one is stuck to the screen. You reflect on this now gently with no pressure to get it, just noticing the way your breath comes and goes yet never says, "I'm mine." The way sounds enter and leave awareness without knocking. The way sensations shift across the body, coolness here, warmth there, like birds landing on a branch and then taking off again. And in all this, you begin to sense the truth that life moves, but there's no need to move with it, that you can be the stillness in which movement appears. And this stillness isn't far away. It's not something to find. It's what remains when you stop holding. It's like sitting on a riverbank, watching the water flow. You don't need to stop it. You don't need to label it. You just watch, quietly, lovingly, and eventually you stop trying to find yourself in the river, because you're not the water, you're the watching. This is what Bahiya realized. He didn't need to become better, smarter, holier. He just needed to stop identifying with what arose and passed. And the moment he did, the idea of a separate self collapsed like a wave, realizing it was always ocean. No one comes, no one goes. This doesn't mean nothing happens. It means there is no one separate from the happening. And so no one is born, no one dies. There is only the unfolding, the breathing, the appearing and dissolving of moments, each one complete, each one whole, each one free. This is not a concept. It is not something to memorize. It is something to feel. And you are feeling it now. You're lying here breathing slowly, effortlessly. You've stopped trying to meditate. You've stopped trying to sleep. You've even stopped trying to be calm. You are simply here. And in this being here, a great truth becomes visible, that the mind when left alone returns to peace, that the heart, when no longer defended, opens, that awareness when no longer claimed expands, like moonlight spreading over a quiet lake, like wind moving through tall grass at dusk, like a candle flickering in a still room. You are not standing outside of life looking in. You are not a visitor in this moment. You are the moment experienced from within. So even as thoughts pass, you no longer need to follow. Even as sensations shift, you no longer need to hold. Even as sleep draws near you, no longer need to reach for it. No one comes, no one goes. There is only the unfolding. There is only now, and this now is complete. You may feel now, even physically, a new lightness, a sense that you're being held not by a person, not by an idea, but by the vast silent presence that has always surrounded you. You don't have to do anything to deserve it. You don't have to hold on to it. Just trust it. Rest in it. Let the you who tries to manage everything take a night off. Let the you who explains, performs, worries, plans just rest. There is no self to protect here. There is no destination to reach. Only this gentle awareness, this open sky, this echo of the Buddha's voice, carried across centuries, saying to Bahiya, and now to you, when there is no you, then there is no suffering. So let yourself dissolve, not into nothing, but into freedom, the kind of freedom that asks nothing in return, the kind that lets you sleep, not out of exhaustion, but out of peace. You are not leaving this moment. You are becoming it, fully, quietly, with no self to carry, with no self to lose. There's a quiet rhythm to your breath now, a soft, steady tide rolling in and out like waves that no longer care where they begin or where they end. You're floating in this rhythm, carried, cradled, and in this gentle sea of awareness, another image arises from the teachings, leaves floating downstream. The Buddha once described the mind like a stream. Thoughts, sensations, memories, they're like leaves, each one drifting on the surface, caught and carried by the current. Some spin in circles, some dip beneath the water and vanish. Some catch the light and shimmer for a moment before tumbling gently away. And you are not the leaves. You are not even the stream. You are the awareness that watches it all still silent, untouched. Tonight, as you lie here, you begin to feel what that really means. You are not your thoughts. You are not your regrets. You are not your plans for tomorrow or your echoes of yesterday. All of that is just movement, just leaves. And when you stop grasping for them, they float more freely. They no longer stick to the banks of your mind. They no longer tangle into stories. They're just part of the flow. You watch now as one drifts by a thought about the day, maybe something unresolved, a small tension in the chest. But instead of following it, you do something different. You notice it, you name it leaf, and you let it go. It spins once, catches a thread of moonlight, and disappears. Another comes, a memory, something sweet, or something a little sad. You watch it too. You name it leaf, you smile perhaps, and then you let it float on. And on it goes. One by one, each moment arises and passes. Each sensation, each whisper in the mind, each flicker of emotion, and none of it sticks, because you are no longer trying to hold the stream in your hands. You are resting on the riverbank, watching, and in that watching something beautiful happens, you begin to trust the flow, not as something you control, but as something that knows where it's going. This is what Bahiya discovered, not by analyzing his mind, not by perfecting his thoughts, but by stepping back, by letting the stream move without interference. And when he did that, the clinging stopped, the striving stopped, the suffering stopped, because he saw the leaves for what they were, just movement, not identity, not self, just part of the dance. You remember the phrase again. In the scene, only the scene. It's the same with the stream. In the flowing, only the flowing. In the mind, only the thought. Not my thought, not my worry, not my desire. Just this leaf, and then the next. Even your breath feels like part of the stream, now rising, falling, circling back in on itself, like the spiral eddies in a gentle brook. You don't control it. You don't create it. You simply witness it. And what a relief that is. To stop paddling upstream, to stop rearranging the current, to stop believing that you have to steer the whole river to find peace. You only have to stop clutching at the leaves. And you're doing that now. Right now, this very moment, you are letting go. And not with resistance, not with effort, with ease. The kind of ease that feels like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. The kind of ease that feels like your shoulders dropping finally after a lifetime of being held up. You may feel a kind of warmth spreading through your body now. A soft hum like the sound of rain falling far away. It's not dramatic. It's not sudden. It's quiet relief. You don't need to fight the stream anymore. You don't need to chase the leaves. You don't even need to reach the ocean, because peace isn't downstream. It's here, in this moment, in this letting go, in this gentle witnessing of what arises and passes without trying to hold it still. You return now to the breath, not to control it, just to feel it. Inhale, and the chest rises like a leaf lifting on the current. Exhale, and it falls again, settling into the water, letting itself be carried. There's no force in this movement, only trust. The kind of trust that says, I don't have to know what comes next. I don't have to be in charge. I can just be here. You've entered the still center of the river, where the world moves, but you remain at peace, where life unfolds, and you no longer need to call it mine. The Buddha called this nibbana, the extinguishing of the flame of clinging. Not extinction, not annihilation, but the soft, quiet flickering out of the desire to control what cannot be controlled. And that's what you feel now. A flicker settling, a softening inside the mind, a spaciousness between thoughts, as if your whole being is saying, yes, let go again, float, watch, just breathe. Let this moment be what it is. The stream moves on, the leaves drift by, and you resting here are not carried away. You are the stillness beneath the current. You are the silence between the notes. You are the watching that needs no watcher. There is a space now opening within you, like a soft garden at dusk. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just a quiet awareness of something timeless that has always been here, patiently waiting beneath the noise. You're not trying to hold on to the peace. You're simply not disturbing it. And in that quiet, something begins to reveal itself. The breath between the breath. You feel it as you inhale softly, without needing to. Then exhale slow, gentle, complete. And between those two, a pause, a subtle stillness, a moment where there is no in, no out, no movement, no tension, no you doing the breathing, just space, pure open sacred space. The Buddha taught that freedom is not something we acquire. It's what remains when we stop clinging. And clinging doesn't just mean holding on to things. It means holding on to doing, holding on to effort, holding on to becoming. But here between the breaths, all becoming dissolves. You're not trying to arrive anywhere now. You're already here. And in this quiet pause, this breathless breath, you feel it, the silence Bahiya realized. The kind of silence that doesn't need to say anything to be understood. It simply is. You rest there, not by effort, but by surrender. Even your thoughts seem to slow in reverence. They come, yes, like ripples in a pond, but you don't chase them. You let them come, let them go. You remain in the center where the surface is still. In the middle of the breath, the truth waits patiently. not as a concept, not as a revelation, just as presence. You begin to sense what the great teachers meant when they said the Dharma is not found in books or words, but in your own direct experience, not in future moments, not at the end of some long path, but here in the simplicity of now, this breath, this stillness, this moment without a center. You don't need to close your eyes to find it. You don't need to be in a temple. You don't need special robes, incense, mantras. You are already inside the sacred, because awareness itself is the altar. You imagine yourself sitting beneath the Bodhi tree, not as someone looking for answers, but as someone who has realized the question is no longer needed, just being. The breeze in the branches above, the hum of insects in the grasses, your own heartbeat pulsing like a quiet drum beneath the soil of your skin. This is what the Buddha pointed to when he said, "In the herd, only the herd. In the known, only the known." Because in that simplicity, suffering cannot take root. It has nowhere to cling. You feel this now not as a theory, but as a truth unfolding in your body. There's a relaxation that comes from no longer having to hold yourself up, no longer performing, no longer searching. You are here, and here is enough. You might begin to feel your sense of self softening again, like ice melting into water. You are not disappearing. You are returning to what you've always been, awareness unshaped by narrative, untouched by identity. It's like being the sky again after lifetimes of thinking you were a single cloud, like being the ocean after lifetimes of thinking you were one wave, like being the breath after lifetimes of thinking you were the breather. And when you sit in that realization long enough, something else becomes clear. There's nothing to fix, nothing to achieve, nothing missing. The spiritual path dissolves into presence. The self dissolves into stillness. Even the idea of enlightenment fades into the simplicity of this. A breath, a pause, a breath, and again the pause. That sacred, unclaimed moment where there is no tension, no past, no future. Just the echo of the Dharma vibrating in every cell of your body. You can feel your heartbeat syncing with this rhythm now. Slow, grounded, natural. There's no hurry to fall asleep, no pressure to stay awake. You're just here aware of being aware. And that awareness is kind. It doesn't judge. It doesn't rush. It doesn't ask you to be anything but what you already are. You may notice a sense of soft light inside you now, not a visual light necessarily, more a felt sense of spaciousness, like your chest has opened wider than the room, like your breath is being breathed by something vast and timeless. You don't need to hold it. It holds you. You don't need to remember the teachings. They're remembering you. You don't need to be perfect to rest in this space. This space is perfect because it holds even your imperfections without flinching. Even your restlessness is welcome here. Even your unfinished questions. Even your sleepiness. Let them be leaves in the stream. Let them be the breeze through the reeds. Let them be the pause between breaths. And know that in that pause, the entire universe is resting with you, because you are not separate from anything. You are not outside the story trying to understand it. You are the page on which the story unfolds. You are the stillness in which the bell rings. You are the silence that hears the bell fade. No longer needing to ask, "What do I need to do?" Because the answer is always the same. Be here. Let go. Rest. You take one more breath now, longer, softer, and then let it go. And with that, you return again to the space between, where even the breath dissolves and only presence remains. You rest now in a space that feels endless, not in size, not in distance, but in openness, as if you've stepped behind the curtain of your usual mind and discovered a vast silent stage where all things arise and pass lit by a gentle, unwavering light. And here, in this gentle stage of awareness, you begin to feel something else, the echo of thought, just as sound echoes in a canyon long after the voice has stopped. Your mind has been echoing, repeating the past, rehearsing the future, bouncing old stories against the walls of your attention. It's not wrong. It's not a fault. It's just what minds do. But tonight, you're seeing through it. You notice how most of your inner noise isn't about what's happening now. It's about what already happened or what might happen next. And those echoes, you realize, are not reality. They're reverberations, faint ripples of memory and projection, replaying long after the original moment has passed. You rest now in a space that no longer needs to react to them. You let the echoes be echoes. You let the voice be a fading wind. You no longer chase, no longer believe, no longer cling, because the truth is, this most of our suffering doesn't come from what's happening. It comes from the echo of it. The story about the pain, the fear about the future, the opinion about the moment. But here in this space of listening, you don't need to identify with the sound. You can simply let it pass through, like a bell ringing in a dream, felt but not held. You lie here now, soft in body, softer still in mind, and the echoes may still rise. I should have done more. What if I can't let go? Am I doing this right? But now you hear them differently. They're not commands. They're not truths. They're leaves again, leaves drifting on the current. You let them pass and notice the silence they leave behind. The mind, you realize, has always been trying to help, trying to protect, prepare, understand. And for that you can offer gratitude, but you can also whisper gently to it, "It's okay now. You can rest." And the mind begins to soften, not because you've silenced it, but because you've stopped wrestling with it. You're no longer the performer on the stage, trying to get every line right. You're the space itself, unmoved, unchanged, holding every echo with compassion, even the sharp ones, even the ones that still sting, because awareness doesn't reject anything. It includes, it allows, it opens. This is the deepest kindness, to let everything arise and fall and not make it about you. The thought arises aloud. The feeling lingers aloud. The breath changes aloud. Even the clinging itself aloud. You are not the controller of the moment. You are its witness, its field, its resting place. And in that realization, a strange freedom begins to emerge. Not a freedom from experience, but a freedom within it. You don't need to escape the echoes. You only need to stop echoing them yourself. No more secondhand suffering. No more commentary. No more holding on to what has already passed. This moment, this breath, this sound, this quiet heartbeat is enough. The Buddha taught that liberation is not the destruction of the world. It's the cessation of clinging to it. And clinging often begins not with what's here, but with what's left behind, with the echo. You are letting that go now, not violently, not forcefully, just gently, like a string being untied by soft fingers in the dark. You feel your breath moving through you like a breeze through curtains, nothing trapped, nothing pushed, just flow. And the echoes, you hear them still. They visit, they flicker, but they no longer define the room. They no longer control the mood. They no longer matter in the way they once did, because you've found the silence beneath them, the presence before them, the peace beyond them. You imagine now a temple hall at night, silent, lit by moonlight, falling through high wooden windows. Incense curls toward the ceiling. The old wooden floor creaks beneath bare feet. A singing bowl hums once and fades. And then silence. That silence is not empty. It is full of grace, of truth, of rest. That silence is inside you now. It always was. Bahiya saw it when he stopped listening to the echoes, when he stopped adding to the moment, when he stopped becoming someone and allowed himself to be no one at all. And you are doing the same, not by force, by falling, by softening, by unlearning the habit of self. And in that falling, something lands. You, not the you with a name and history, but the you who needs no name. The awareness that watches stars, the space that hears the silence, the sky that holds the echoes and lets them go. This is enough, more than enough. Let it carry you now like sleep, like water, like moonlight over a quiet field where nothing needs to be done. Let it carry you home. You are lying here now, quieter than before, as if each breath has swept a little more dust from the surface of your mind. There's a deep hush settling in, not the silence of absence, but the kind of stillness that feels present, alert, gently aware, like the world has paused, not in waiting, but in full acceptance. And now, as the final echoes fade, a soft awareness returns to you. The instant is already here, not later, not after more effort, more clarity, more letting go. It's already here. Bahiya's story ends not with a conclusion, but with this same revelation, that the truth he had been chasing across deserts and lifetimes was not waiting at the end of the road. It was the road. It was the step. It was this seeing, this hearing, this knowing, not as concepts, but as reality pure and direct. And so tonight, as you settle even deeper into yourself, you come to realize you haven't been preparing for presence. You've been inside it the entire time. It's like waking from a dream of seeking only to discover you were always lying in the lap of the sacred. Even now, you may notice your breath has softened to the point that you barely notice it. The body so long held up by will and habit now simply rests. It lies there like a leaf floating on a pond, no tension, no urgency, no resistance. And the mind, maybe it's quiet, or maybe it's still whispering, but either way, you know now that you don't need to believe everything it says. You don't have to chase its stories. You can just listen, the way you might listen to wind moving through bamboo, curious, unafraid, free, because the instant is already here. You've always been here. The Buddha's words to Bahiya weren't instructions. They were descriptions, a mirror showing what is always the case when clinging falls away. In the seen, only the seen. In the heard, only the heard. In the sensed, only the sensed. In the known, only the known. There's nothing mystical about it. And yet, it's the most sacred thing. To see the world without adding yourself to it. To hear a sound without a self behind the ears. To feel a breeze without calling it mine. You may wonder, is this awakening? The answer doesn't matter. What matters is that you are awake to this moment, to this stillness, to this peace. You've traveled far through this story, not in miles, not in understanding, but in surrender. You've walked beside Bahiya. You've heard the Buddha speak. You've sat beneath fig trees and beside rivers watching the mind unravel like a ball of string that no longer needs to be wound. And now there's nowhere left to go, nowhere else to be, nothing else to become. The instant is already here. The story is not over. It never truly ends. It just dissolves into presence. And what's left? A breath, a pause, a moment of seeing, hearing, sensing, without clinging. You can let go now, not because there's nothing left to hold, but because there's no you left to hold it. And in that final softening, the last veil lifts. There is no watcher, no seeker, no awakened one. There is only awareness, open, luminous, empty of self yet full of compassion. The same compassion that the Buddha saw in every sentient being, the capacity to wake up from the dream of separation and rest in what already is. You are resting in it now, not striving, not imagining, just resting. You've stepped into the same space Bahiya did. You've heard the same words, and somewhere inside, you maybe softly, maybe wordlessly, you understand. You understand that the world is not something to be conquered or solved or transcended. It's something to be met, moment by moment, leaf by leaf, breath by breath. And so you let go finally of the last idea that there's something to fix. You let go of being the one who meditates, the one who practices, the one who watches the breath. And in that letting go, only this remains: silence, presence, freedom, and the faint smile of knowing that you were never far away. You were simply waiting to stop waiting. The instant has always been here, and now so are you. And now, dear one, you've arrived, not somewhere new, not somewhere far, but into the quiet center of what has always been here. The story has ended, and yet the peace continues, like a melody that fades but still lingers in your bones, like the warmth of a sun that has long since set but left the earth glowing. You rest here in a space beyond effort, no longer trying to understand, no longer trying to hold on, just resting. Let the breath move on its own now. No need to guide it. It knows its way like a river winding through familiar land. Let your thoughts, if they arise, be soft, like reeds swaying in wind. You don't need to push them away. You don't need to follow them. They are just passing visitors in a house that is already still. This moment is enough. This silence is complete. There's no deeper teaching waiting for you. No final instruction. Only this, a soft body breathing, a quiet heart steady, a presence whole and unwounded. You are not falling asleep to escape the world. You are drifting into rest, knowing that the world, this world, is already complete, and you, exactly as you are, belong to it. So let the night carry you now. Let the stillness wrap around you like a blanket. Let go of even the letting go. No striving, no holding, no self, only sleep, only silence, only peace. And if any thought should return to knock once more on the door of your mind, simply smile gently and let the echo fade. You are already home. You always were.